Saludos programas and welcome to the AEW Collision review for this Saturday, December 2nd, I think it was.
Correct.
December 2nd? Okay, there we go. I'm Adolfo, the nerdy Puerto Rican. With me, as always, is...
Hello, everyone. El Jefe Mikey is here, and I'm finally happy to be back on Collision, even though this was probably the only time this month I'll be able to do so. But I'm happy to be here.
That's right. That's right. So we're gonna get right into it. Collision is, I guess, the home of the Blue League matches for the Continental Classic, and we start off with, in my opinion, a slobber knocker where we had Claudio Castagnoli versus Brody King, and at the beginning of this match, it was just a battle of lariats. Did it not feel that way to you, Mikey?
Woo! Oh my goodness, bro. Like, I knew this match was going to be crazy and it was going to be hard hitting, but I had to clutch my chest a little bit after some of those shots. I'm like, oh my gosh, I could feel it through my screen.
Yeah, yeah, and it was your big men slapping man meet together, but it very entertaining. The match did seesaw back and forth, where then you had Claudio start working on Brody's wrist, and he started getting the upper hand. Claudio got Brody into a sharpshooter, where Brody was able to crawl to the rope and grab to break the sharpshooter, and then finally there was it culminated where Claudio actually came off the rope. Brody caught him, put him into a pile driver for a 1-2 nope, and then Brody lariated him one more time, and then he finally got the 1-2-3. So, and Brody King was the winner of this match, bringing him up to six points, I believe, in Continental Classic.
I'm gonna be 100% honest. I was shocked that Brody won. I thought Claudio was going to pick up some points here. I was like, okay, yeah, it makes sense to have Claudio like get more points, but no, man, they're building up Brody King, and Brody's got
Yeah.
6 points, and so now I'm wondering. I'm like, they're really trying to keep us guessing on who our front runners are going to be, because the other matches tonight too, where they went the way I thought. Now you're building some really good underdog storylines, specifically with one individual in our main event tonight, which we'll talk
Yep.
about. But
Which we will talk about. Yep.
listen,
Uh,
the world is right. Brody King has 6 points. I am happy.
that's right. Gotta love our House of Black. So then we had a spot where John Moxley actually, it felt like he stole Eddie Kingston's script from earlier in the week. But then towards the end, when Mox was talking about his battle with depression and all that, like, how much of that is kayfabe and how much of that is not? What did you think about the spot, Mikey?
So this was really interesting because, like you said, you joked about it, but it felt like Mox took a little page out of Eddie Kingston's script, which, at first I was like, okay, this is kind of cool. And then he got real, and I was like,
Yeah,
oh, oh. I
yeah,
was just like, this is a different depth for Mox's character, because we're used to him wanting to fight everybody and beating everybody up, and then just basically like, I will bleed for this business. But he got vulnerable, and honestly, it was a really nice change of pace, and I'm like, damn it. Now it's just like, I'm rooting for Swerve in the Gold League, but man, Mox, now you made me want to root for you to win this thing too.
yeah.
And honestly, I think that's been a big highlight for me for this overall, Continental Classic. You've taken 12 participants, which I would say are like 12 of my favorite stars right now in AEW. And each week you are building them up and you're making me care, which I was like, why can't we do this on a normal basis? Like, seriously, these Continental Classic matches
They're
has the
they've been
best
good.
combination of wrestling, and they're
Yeah.
cooking, as the kids say, apparently. But you also are getting story development and characters and whatnot. And
Yep.
that's all I've wanted to see from AEW the last couple of years. So
Yep.
I love this promo, and I want to see more of this John Moxley, in pieces and spurts. as we keep going.
Yep. Yep. Exactly. I'm probably missing some spots. I feel that there was some filler stuff in there, but our next match, which was is the important thing, is we had Abaddon against Kiera Hogan. Right, Abaddon? What?
I need to make sure I use proper pronouns here.
Yep,
But seeing Abaddon outside of the Halloween and spooky season,
I know.
y-
And
ooh.
so Abaddon, like I'm gonna just straight up say it, they brutalized Kiera Hogan, right? I mean, Kiera got some good shots in there, like some good kick and a good splash on the rope, but then Abaddon just turned it on, and it was just I thoroughly enjoyed the theatricality that Abaddon brings to the ring. JVL, if you're watching this, thank you, man, because you told me to watch Abaddon, and I did watch some clips, and then I was excited to see them actually wrestle, and to actually see them wrestle. You were right; they are entertaining. They're an entertaining wrestler. But Abaddon did get the 1-2-3 win. Then the lights go out and poof, you have Julia Hart. And then all of a sudden, lights go off, and Julia Hart's gone. So, are we actually building a story? Like, where do we think this is going to be heading, Mikey?
I was so shocked when, first and foremost, I was happy to see Abaddon. I love my girl Kiera, but Abaddon winning was the right choice in my opinion. What I wasn't expecting is, like you said, Julia Hart has to stare down with Abaddon when the lights come back on, and she's holding the TBS championship in front of her face, across the ring from Abaddon. Lights go out, she disappears. I am so happy for a multitude of reasons. From first point, we're not wasting any time getting this TBS championship to have another feud with this outside of Chris and Sky now that they're kind of dealing with their own thing as we covered in Rampage. So,
Mm-hmm.
and we'll talk about Sky a little bit because she has something else she's going to take care of next week, which makes me really excited.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
So,
Uh-huh.
number one,
Uh-huh.
we're not wasting any time Julia defending this title. Number two, the fact that we're getting Julia versus Abaddon, it seems, for the first feud for Julia is amazing for so many different reasons. But more importantly, and this is just because we both know JVL is a big fan of Abaddon, the fact that Abaddon gets to have a actual feud where we potentially will see them
Right.
across multiple weeks on AEW television makes me extremely excited. And I know for the longest time we've been advocating to have Abaddon get more screen time and be utilized more, and it seems that whoever is in charge of booking this feud on Collision, listen to us.
Yeah.
Like,
Yep.
I'm excited. I'm
Yep.
excited for JBL, and I can't. Oh, this is gonna be fun. I'm hoping that they do justice for these two. I'm excited to see where this goes. But oh my goodness, Abaddon versus Julia is so good, and I would love even more for Abaddon to join Julia after all is said and done.
Well, I was just about to say really quick hot take question. Abaddon and House of Black. Go.
Yes, why not? Absolutely. Like, there's no debate. You cannot tell me otherwise.
Right. All right. There we bam. That is the cherry on top of the frosting. That is the yummy goodness of House of Black. So let's see where it happens. It was very very exciting to see. So the next spot that we have a backstage. I believe it was Renee was interviewing Samoa Joe, and Samoa. Here comes the kingdom, rolling on up and pushing that the devil conspiracy theory. And Samoa Joe, you're walking. Well, the first thing was, we're best friends by proxy because Adam is my best friend and MJF is his best friend. And then they were like, you're walking into a trap next week, Samoa Joe. The devils are gonna come and get you, blah, 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 blah. I mean, what did you think about this spot, Mikey?
I mean, again, I am still not how much annoyed I am with. Well, thankfully, it wasn't Adam this time. It was Samoa Joe. It was Joe, which was okay. But I'm hoping that we get some sort of answers sooner than later because we've been dragging out. The Kingdom have kind of been around in this MJF storyline for
Yep.
the longest time.
Yep.
But we really haven't done much with pulling the trigger on this. Now, granted, I'm pretty sure some of it has to do with needing Adam Cole to be, back on his feet and not in a boot or a cast to pull the trigger on this. But I thought it was okay. Like, my only concern with this is that because we're supposed to be led to believe that Roderick Strong and the Kingdom are underneath the Devil Mask. So at least I think that's the perpetuating theory.
I concur. I think I feel that that's who's under that mask. Yeah.
The problem I'm having is that because Adam Cole is, hurt, I'm not I'm trying to figure out like again, I feel like AEW wrote themselves in a corner with this one because the devil has been a plague on MJF's storyline with everybody involved since September, late August, whatever.
Yeah.
And we're just getting to the end of it. I'm like, eh, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll talk about more about the Kingdom and Roderick Strong because I also have issues with what we're
Yep.
doing with them. I was just like, we got to progress this, but I thought this was okay. And it's playing into Samoa Joe's and MJF's tag team match next week against two of the henchmen, which I would not be surprised if it ended up being the Kingdom underneath or like we're just playing mind game. I don't know. It's getting too convoluted.
Yeah. I as far as spots go, I would have much rather them let Samoa Joe just talk, and answer the question about next week's match. Does that mean that I did not like the spot? No, because it was. I got a chuckle anytime I see Strong wheel up in the wheelchair, and I hear that Samoa Adam. I chuckle. I'm sorry. I again lizard brain. It just makes it. It gives me the serotonin. But yeah, like it didn't take away, but it didn't add. And I feel like it would have pumped up the match better on Dynamite if they just let Samoa Joe talk. So that's that. And now we can actually talk about another match, which was nice. Right? Did not expect Daniel Garcia and Andrade El Idolo to be such a good match. Yo, you said it at the beginning. This Continental Classic is just bringing it. These matches are just amazing. I when did Andrade switch his entrance up?
You know, I feel like this is a change in character. Like he changed up his entrance a little bit. I feel like since he got paired with CJ, so
Okay.
Miro's wife CJ, like this
Yeah, yeah.
whole thing of CJ signing Andrade and then working together, and now I believe like CJ, not like real, like not really, but like in kayfabe, so to speak. She's like managing Andrade, which as a manager comes with changing up entrance music and things like that. I kind of dig the new entrance.
I really like his new Yeah, I really like his new entrance. But Andrade, he took the lead early, and he is again. I've said this before, and I will say it again. I'll probably keep saying it. For such a big guy, he is so athletic, able to do those great rope moves, where he swings and then it just hangs on the rope, able to do those high flying moves off the top turnbuckles. It's just like, so athletic, so athletic. I love seeing that. And then the tone did change because Daniel Garcia did dragon screw Andrade in his bad knee, and it started to fight back. there was a an iffy spot for me where where Daniel Garcia was up on the top turnbuckle and he fell, and I couldn't tell if it was like planned that Andrade was supposed to push him or if he slipped. But when Daniel Garcia hit the outside of the ring, which we all know is the hardest part of the ring, mat, and then fell on the floor, it looked like a flub to me, but he did hop back up, which was nice. And Daniel Garcia worked Andrade's leg a little bit more. Andrade fought back. Andrade then finally hits the flatliner on Daniel Garcia and gets the 1-2-3 for the win.
I mean, you basically summarized the play by play. So the only things I will add to this is, again, I am with you. I thought this was a very excellent match. And to push this even further, this is the Daniel Garcia that I've been missing for the longest time. And I said this before on multiple occasions. Before he joined the JAS, this is the version of Daniel Garcia that we got. Now, the dancing gimmick wasn't a thing back then, but
Right.
I actually like the dancing gimmick. I don't care what nobody says. It's
Yeah.
hilarious. It's great
Yep.
when it's used sparingly. But ultimately, Daniel Garcia is touted as this generation's Brian Danielson. Like, he is a technician expert, and this boy can wrestle. But since
Yep.
joining the JAS, we didn't really get to see much of it because then it was more of the sports entertaining factor of it all. But man, Daniel Garcia killed it. Andrade continues to be amazing in the ring too. I keep forgetting that Andrade is a luchador first, but his style he
Yeah.
adapts his style of wrestling so much that I forget that he is lucha libre, but he's able to do more grounded stuff too. Like, he's very versatile.
He is.
And I am actually really happy to see Andrade be picking up points in the blue league as well. So now he is at 6 and he is tied
Mm-hmm.
with Brody King
That's right.
in terms of having the most points in the blue league, since Andrade and Brody have won both of their matches so far.
How about that, huh? Who saw that coming?
I didn't, for sure, because
Yeah,
half the
right.
time, like, I I felt like Andrade and Brody were being lost in the shuffle along with some other folks, but my goodness,
Yeah.
this was an awesome match.
Yeah. So then after that, I think there were some spots they really didn't register, because the thing that did was we had the Kingdom going up against our Iron Savages. Apparently, the Kingdom is not going to invite the Iron Savages to neck the halls with them.
It is so stupid, but I was
Stupid.
here for it.
And you know, I don't want to call it a squash match, but yeah, it. I feel like the Iron Savages were not done well in this match. I feel like they're pushing the Kingdom uh, because they did this last week as well, where the Kingdom came out, and the longest part of the match was them talking, and then they got the win. I just don't know where they're going with it, if that makes any sense. Well, although I mean, they did call out Adam Cole and MJF last week, so I guess that's where they're going with it. I don't. What do you think, Mikey?
Again, this kind of goes back to when we were discussing, Roderick and the Kingdom interrupting Samoa Joe. There's so many moving parts into this whole entire MJF and everybody who is under the Devil Mask saga story that we've been getting the last couple of months. And again, I honestly think that Adam Cole getting hurt has kind of derailed a lot of this, which is unfortunate. But you could postpone it or do something else. But I feel like the Kingdom and Roderick Strong aren't being utilized like the best. I mean, they're being put on TV. I was upset that my boys, the Iron Savages, were like, I didn't mind that they lost. I just hated that we lost in like less than 5 minutes. Like, this,
Yeah.
that seems to be the reoccurring thing with the Kingdom is any matches that they're involved in, whoever they're facing, they win in like 5 minutes or less, which they're picking up wins, which I guess is important, but you're not really building them as an actual contender and like a top tag team. Now, when they were in Ring of Honor, it was a different story because we actually had storylines going for them, and then they got pulled into this MJF void that includes them, Roderick Strong, Adam Cole, Samoa Joe, Wardlow. I guess is still involved in it in some capacity, which
Yeah, in some way. Yeah.
I guess, or whatever. I mean, Jay White was there for a little bit, and now I'm glad we moved him out of that void so he could focus on showing us why AEW signed him.
Yep.
I don't know. I also, this brings up to what I was mentioning earlier. I don't like this. Oh my gosh, Roderick Strong is actually okay now because bro flopped onto
Yeah, he
Bronson.
did.
And
Yeah.
and then like he went back to faking he was hurt. I was like, "Sir, if we're gonna be doing this, like we gotta like what was that for?" I was like, "You are we
Yeah.
all this is just a minor
We can
nitpick.
see you.
We can see you. This is a minor nitpick because I'm like, MJF and everybody else can see that you're perfectly fine, but $5 says that they're going to be like, oh my gosh, what happened? We did not see. I was like, does nobody watch the product in AEW? Like,
I know,
I
right?
was just like, this is the small stuff that keeps me up at night. I was just like, we as the viewing audience saw this happen. You mean to tell me that MJF, Samoa Joe, Adam Cole, and the rest of the peoples did not see this happen on television? Like, what are we doing? I don't know. I don't know, Adolfo. I was mad that the Iron Savages lost. I don't
Yep.
like how the kingdom is being presented, and I feel
Yep.
like everybody is just spinning their wheels until whatever the conclusion of what's supposed to happen. But I would
Yep.
not be surprised if it is revealed that the kingdom is underneath the mask, only to find out that it was a swerve and it's not really them. They're just playing mind games with MJF, which God, if that actually turns out to be the case, I might actually like go cry and eat some ice cream or something. I don't know. I just want this story to be over or at least
Yeah,
get into the
no,
next
yeah.
chapter.
Yeah, like yeah, I don't not to spend any more time on it, but I don't know if they're waiting for Adam Cole to fully get healed up so that they can, bring it to its conclusion or whatever the case may be. But we need, yeah, we need to wrap that shit up. Anyway, so then we got a spot from Ethan Page, all ego, Ethan Page, saying that he wants to be the best wrestler in Canada, and he called out Kenny Omega, which later on in the show we find out that on next week Collision we're gonna have Ethan Page, Kenny Omega. I'm kind of excited to see that. How about you, Mikey?
So I'm torn. I'm excited for the match because Ethan versus Kenny is going to be baller. Like I'm actually excited for it. Now, this is where I have an issue with this. As the ROH representative here, as somebody who reviews Ring of Honor every week, go check out those reviews. Shameless plug. But it's the same issue that I brought up with the Kingdom because currently Ethan Page has been going like we've had him for almost like 2.5 months in Ring of Honor. And I'm happy he's in Ring of Honor because they're actually doing something nice with him. Like him and Tony Nese are having a feud, and we're about to get a blow off match pretty soon. Like we built this character up. And Tony Khan decides he needs to get all the Canadian talent that he can because we're going to Canada in the
We're going
next
to Yep,
2 weeks or
going to
so
Montreal.
in Montreal. So I was just like, this is the same issue I always have with WWE and other promotions when we go to like abroad. They always put like the talent that is from those places in there.
Yeah,
And what make I'm frustrated because Kenny versus Ethan is actually going to be an amazing match and I'm going to have no questions
yeah,
about it.
yeah.
I'm just frustrated because here we have Ethan Page thriving in Ring of Honor. Like we actually have a consistent storyline. He's no longer just being a prop piece for, the Hardys and Brother Zay, which was he was doing before he went to Ring of Honor. Now for him to just lose and job out to Kenny Omega and what's going to be a baller match, I think is what's frustrating me is that Ethan's not going to win. Kenny is going to win. I was like, why are we jobbing Ethan Page out to Kenny
Or
Omega?
or what if Don Callis' family comes out and interferes?
See, on the one hand, that would make me happy because then Ethan would win. But at the same time, though, we just discussed in Rampage. I was just
Yeah,
like, I need
yeah,
The Don Callis
yeah.
family to like go away, specifically Don Callis himself, like go take a vacation, let let the boys run the house a little bit, but there's no win-win for me because
Yeah,
I would
yeah,
rather have Ethan lose with no interference or mention of Don Callis' family, period. And as
yeah.
much as I wouldn't like that, I would rather see that than Don Callis. Now, if they interfere and Kenny loses, then I would be intrigued because I'm still holding on hope that we continue the storyline that Kenny can't keep winning, so we need Kenny to break.
Right. So then after that, we had another spot where Diamante's partner, help me, Mikey,
Oh my gosh, Mercedes Martinez versus
Mercedes
Willow
Martinez,
Nightingale is
Willow
happening
Nightingale.
soon. I'm like,
Yep,
yes, I'm so excited.
yep, yep. That was hyped up, so we're excited about that. I haven't seen a lot of Mercedes Martinez, because I don't watch Ring of Honor. I'm sorry. I will
Listen, that
start
is your
watching it. I will
2024
start.
resolution.
Yes,
We're
it's
going
my
to get you boys
2024
to watch Ring
resolution.
of Honor
That's right.
because it's actually really consistent.
Yep. But I am excited for this match. So because I enjoy the heck spit out of Willow Nightingale. She always puts on a good match, and from what little I did see um, of Mercedes, it's going to be a good one. It's going to be a good one.
My Puerto Rican princess. I love her so much. I'm excited for you to be introduced to her
Yeah.
officially when they fight.
Yep. And then this brings us to the House of Black. Buddy Matthews and Malachi Black honoring the House of Black versus Christopher Daniels and Matt Seidel. Did they have a name? I don't think they have a name. I think they were just
I'm
introduced as
trying to
Christopher
remember.
Daniels and
I
Matt
don't think
Seidel.
they ever had a tag team name because
Yeah.
Christopher Daniels and Matt Seidel have been tag team partners in Ring of Honor on and off, not just in this recent iteration, but just in the history of Ring of Honor in general. But when I
Yep.
saw that Buddy and Malachi were taking on Christopher Daniels and Matt Seidel, I was like, oh, we're going to get time. This is going to be like a 10-15 minute match. And they did not disappoint.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I admittedly I was a little bit worried. I thought that House of Black was going to come in and steamroll, but that was not the case. Matt Seidel and Chris Daniels, wow, they are fantastic. Dynamic moves off the top rope, good technicality in the ring, really entertaining. Admittedly, so House of Black did get the W in this because Malachi Black, in essence, super kicked. I think it was Chris Daniels. He super kicked and got the 1, 2, 3. Admittedly, that ending kind of anticlimactic, kind of meh, especially because up to that point, Chris Daniels and Matt Seidel were just like running the table, and then all of a sudden, like, um, Buddy did. Buddy did something real quick, and then Malachi with his super kick. So I was like, okay. But after this, Malachi, no, after this, the lights go off and FTR comes out. And Malachi gets the mic and asks FTR to be part of the House of Black. What? Haha, trap card. Because it was just a setup where Buddy and Malachi just beat down on FTR. They Buddy held Dax while Malachi ravaged FTR aggravated assault. And and what did you think, Mikey?
So, first, I want to say the match itself was great. I love seeing House of Black pick up the win. I do agree with you that the ending was kind of, interesting. Now, as the boss of the Biconics, as a co host for Collision, you know, I would like to formally make a public apology to Adolfo, and here's why. I am sorry. I did not have relations with that woman. No, I was kidding. No. So If you didn't check out the AEW Dynamite review from this week, I didn't tell Adolfo this. I meant to text him afterwards, but I felt like I kind of went a little hard on him because I was not happy with how the last couple of weeks House of Black was being presented. It was just like they've been on a losing streak. They can't win any of their matches recently. Like Buddy lost to Claudio at Full Gear, and House of Black couldn't get the tag titles in the ladder match. And just overall, to me, I was like the presentation of House of Black. I'm like Julia Hart is doing House of Black more in just the few matches that she's had than House of Black have been doing for the last couple months. And I may or may not have told Adolfo that he was wrong on Dynamite and that, whatnot. And I wasn't too happy with the presentation in House of Black. I'm here to make a public apology to Adolfo and to the wrestling fans because this little segment with House of Black wanting FTR to join them and then pulling the swerve and beating the tar out of them afterwards has made me more invested in this feud that we got going on with House of Black and FTR. And this is the House of Black that I know and love. So, Adolfo, I owe you an apology. You actually are right. I am now back invested into this. I don't care if I get called fickle. This is what I've been wanting for the last couple of weeks. Show me House of Black the way that they are, just kicking ass and taking names. And I'm actually kind of glad that FTR is down for the cause to be a part of the storyline to
Yep.
get their asses kicked, so to speak.
Yep. Yep. No, I will not disagree with you that previously House of Black was looking very not strong, because like you said, they lost at the ladder match, and Buddy, I'm sorry, Brody. Yeah, Brody lost his match, and it's just been like really Julia Hart. That's been, House of Black always, the house always wins. But yeah, thank you. You're well. Thank you for that apology. I appreciate it, and I just hope I'm not gonna end up eating crow. I do hope that I do hope that how that they're like steering like a House of Black collision takeover type situation, because kind of like Degeneration X in the '90s on Raw's War type situation. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. So, but it was entertaining. So, and Mikey's vested now. So after that, can we just Tony Storm is just fantastic.
Listen,
That's all I gotta say.
Listen, I can't for the life of me understand. Like, I know not every wrestling character is for everyone. Like, that's the beauty of being a wrestling fan. But come on, you guys. Like, when was the last time we had such an absurd character concept, such as a wrestling Hollywood starlet? Like, just the presentation,
Yeah.
the character,
Yup.
just oh my gosh, this Tony Storm was very close to making my top female wrestler of the year just from character standpoint alone. And
Yeah.
this segment was just proving why her character work right now is so much fun.
It is really good. Again, it was that's her spot was the perfect length, and I don't know who is writing her scripts, but it is just so entertaining. She went after Renee. It was like there was some blonde floozy in the chair before me. I think it was you. It's just like
I love the fact too. She's just like, "Oh, RJ City is a better reporter than you."
right. Yeah, exactly. And then when she leaves, she's just like, "I'm not wearing shoes," and she like took Renee's shoes, didn't even put them on, just like threw them. Oh, it was good. It was good. And then went to commercial, and on when we came back from commercial, so Tony Storm, I'm jumping ahead of myself. Tony Storm called out Sky Blue, and that was something else where Tony Storm was like, your whole spooky, like calling out the change in character. in Sky Blue, this whole spooky thing. Boo! Look, I'm spooky too. That was like it was great. It was great. But yeah, Tony Storm called out Sky Blue, and then when after when we came back from commercials, Sky Blue had a response, and I thought it was a good response. It like super hype, had me going response? No, but it was a good, solid response. It was short. She stayed within her character, and you know, had a good comeback. You know, and it looks like we're going to be getting Sky Blue and Tony Storm sometime soon.
So the funny thing is, we didn't have to wait long because during the main event, when they went through like what to preview what was happening in the next couple of weeks, we're getting this championship match on Dynamite this Wednesday.
Oh, well, there we go. I see. I completely missed that. That's good though. That's interesting. It's interesting.
Again, I'm happy to see that we're not waiting for Tony to defend this title. What I'm hoping though is that, as we go finish off 2023, but again, my biggest hope for AEW is we build stories. Like the consistent
Yeah.
banger of matches that we get in both the men's and women's division is never questionable. I just want them to start writing stories to have said matches be bangers. Like I go back to
Yeah.
Hangman and Swerve, like the two matches that we had within the last like month and a half of their feud. I'm like, this is the best written story feud that we've gotten in AEW this year
Mm,
for me.
yep.
That's all you need sometimes. But
Yep.
I gotta say, I love Sky Blue. It's just like using Tony Storm's catchphrase against her. It's like chin up, tits out. I'm gonna
Yeah.
shove I'm gonna shove
What's
those
that?
shoes up your ass. I was like, damn, Sky.
Yep. Yep.
I'm here for
So
aggressiveness.
okay, so now let's really quick hot take. Mikey, do we feel that this is the surge for the women's division in AEW that we have been asking for?
I think it's a start at least because between Rampage and Collision this week, we got a lot of the women doing stuff. My hope is that do I think Sky's going to win the title? No. I think it's going to be a fun match. What I'm hoping though to see is that I'm hoping that this is like you said, I hope this is the surge and the start to, where the women's division was back in 2022. I know it doesn't seem that long ago, but the women's division was on fire in 2022. And with 2024 coming up, and the reports of we're supposedly getting Jamie Hayter be coming back from injury. Thunder Rosa is almost cleared to come back to the ring. Britt Baker coming back to the ring. Like there are so many key women's players that are coming back from injury, as well as who you've built up so far, like with Chris and Sky,
Mm-hmm.
Saraya finally getting more ring time.
Yep.
Like I I think that this is going to be a start. Now it's just a matter of getting the right people to write for the women's division and getting the right people to book for them too. And not give us just one women's match a week on each of the shows, Mr. Tonith Khan, please.
Speaking to you, Tony Khan. Anthony.
Anthony Khan, as Tony Storm likes to say.
So then, my match of the night, we had Hijo del Vikingo versus Kip Sabian. And can we just, yo, Hijo is off the chain. Like, so I had mentioned this in the Rampage review. On Rampage, he was teamed up with Penta and Commander, and they had a spot where the three of them, jumped out, dove out of the ring. But Vikingo did this thing where he like bounced off the rope and then dove out, which because of the way the camera was and like in Rampage, I wasn't sure if it was a botch or like what had happened because Vikingo was on the end, but we saw this move again tonight, and it was really cool. Where he goes to dive, but he like catches himself on the two ropes, bounces back into the ring, lands, and then just proceeds to dive. Are you kidding me, bro? Are you kidding me? And along, of course, with his like 630 Phoenix splashes and the 720. Oh my god. Oh, so good. It was so good. It was so good. And Mikey, clutch your pearls. The brown man won.
I was shocked.
How'd you
I
like
was
that?
I I have a few things to say. First and foremost, it was so nice to see, our brown boy get the victory here. We gotta love it because me and Adolfo, as as representatives of the brown peoples here in the
Mm-hmm.
Biconics, we'd love to see them win.
Mm-hmm.
We celebrate vicariously through their wins.
Yep.
Number two, this is just a personal thing. I love watching Adolfo get giddy over lucha libre done right
Oh
in the
man.
Western world because really the only real luchador that we've had for the longest time doing things out here on American television was Rey Mysterio, but now we have like a plethora across all different
Yeah.
promotions.
Uh-huh.
So
Uh-huh.
good. In terms of this match, I love Vikingo. I was really happy to see Kip Sabian get some time because I'm a big Kip Sabian fan. And this match wasn't a squash match. Like Kip actually got some offense into.
He did. He did. He did.
But of course, Vikingo is out here doing some stuff that I can only do in my dreams. Like
Yeah.
this and the Adolfo, we got to remember this kid is like only like 26, I believe.
I
He's
know.
only in his 20s. I was just like, God, I was like, I can't I didn't even do that when I was in my 20s. Like I was out here trying to like make sure I didn't break anything. And I'm just like looking at this kid in his 20s. I'm like, God, I wish I was like, how? Why?
Right? Right. So now, all right, quick hot take. Mikey. Vikingo for the FTW belt in AEW. What do you think?
Ooh. So I actually think that would be a really fun match between Hook and Vikingo. I do believe Hook would need to work up to it because I think he's a good wrestler. But in order to keep up with Vikingo, he's going to need to be able to find ways to stop him flying around, which I think would be fun. But we'll have to see because I need to see what happens between Wheeler and Hook because I'm
Mm-hmm.
pretty sure that's what we're getting for the pure champion.
Oh yeah.
Unless it is not Joshua Woods, which we'll talk about Ring of Honor in a little bit because we have a match announced for Final Battle in the next segment. If it's not Joshua Woods, then we're definitely getting Wheeler versus Hook. And when that's done, I would love to see Vikingo and Hook go at it for the FTW Championship.
Yep.
Again, I just hope we build to it. And I'm not sure what we do because Vikingo, I think, is mostly just being used because he's on loan from AAA. So,
Yeah, yeah, but he's super talented.
oh, absolutely.
All the luchadors are super talented, and I don't. Uh, I don't feel that we are going to see a luchador get one of the big gold belts like the AEW championship or like the TNT championship or even the TBS. Wait, is there a TBS male championship? No, it's just the
No, we
TNT
just have the
championship. Yeah.
TNT championship.
I don't think we will see a luchador with one of those belts. So let's make the FTW belt mean something. Let's put some gold on a luchador. Let's make it the FTW belt because right now it's like I feel it's like the $1 million belt that Ted DiBiase had back in the 80s. It's a belt that he made himself. Like, and Hook has had that FTW belt for so long that, and he doesn't seem to defend it. I don't know. I feel like business wise that would be a great way for bring up the FTW belt and also to bring up the luchadors. I might be alone in this, but that's my hot take on that. So after this, we got we got a little bit of a spot. Does anyone remember Shane Taylor and Keith Lee and how that was a thing? Go ahead, Mikey.
Listen, Linda, listen. Okay. So, before I get into my feelings about this, essentially what this segment boiled down to was, we were about to find out who Keith Lee was exactly talking about in terms of like his promo from last week too, which I was intrigued by.
Right?
But before we got an answer to that, because Renee asked, but it didn't happen. So Shane Taylor comes in and interrupts, and basically Shane Taylor's talking all this mess, and Keith Lee is like, "Bro, we'll fight. Let's do this." And so we get this match between Keith Lee and Shane Taylor at Ring of Honor's final battle, which is taking place in 2 weeks. I gotta center myself for this one. Okay, so point number one. It's nice to see that AEW remembered that this was a feud that they were pushing before they stopped for the last couple of weeks. And I didn't forget about it, but I thought that they had dropped it for whatever reason. And I thought, oh, maybe somebody got hurt, maybe somebody got sick, like who knows. But I thought this, I was like, well, okay, that's fine. We have started and stopped this feud so many mother tucking times, Adolfo, over the course of the last 3 months that the emotional whiplash that this has been giving me is not good for my health. And the fact that you finally made this match happen all of like 3 months too late, in my opinion, you should have had this match on Ring of Honor television at some point.
I
We
feel like
start
it's been longer. I honestly feel like it's been longer.
I mean, I could be wrong. It could have been longer. But see, this is the problem that AEW has. Like, you started this feud, you stopped it, we picked it up again through promo, stopped it for another few weeks, and now we're getting this on Ring of Honor when neither one of them have had any interaction on Ring of Honor television. Tony Khan, what are we doing? Listen, I am so frustrated because while I am excited to see Athena versus Billy Starks for that women's title match at Final Battle, this match is like a throwaway because they didn't invest the time, they didn't invest the build up to
Yep.
this match. And while I think it's going to still slap because I know Keith Lee and Shane Taylor can go, I hate the build up to this. And that seems to
Yeah.
be my consistent issue with a lot of AEW. Sorry, banger matches, build up is trash.
Yeah, when I saw this spot, I literally paused Hulu and thought, and I was like, wasn't this match supposed to happen in like February or March? And then nothing happened. So yeah, I agree with you on this, Mikey. The AEW Tony Khan, whoever is writing these stories or not writing these stories, they need to do a little bit better, you know, because the start stop on this, I feel unless you're a true diehard, you're not invested. And these guys are going to get on into the ring, and they're going to give a great match, but because there has been zero, even worse, there's been build up, no build up, build up, no build up. You know, no one's gonna. Everyone's going to be out buying popcorn and using the bathroom. They're going to come back and see like the last 2 minutes of a 30-minute banger. So, but then this brings us, speaking of bangers, to the match of the main event of the night. We had Bryan Danielson versus Eddie Kingston in the last match for the Blue League Continental Classic. And this is Bryan Danielson's return match coming back from having a broken orbital bone. Mikey, go ahead. I'll let you go first.
Listen, this for me personally was my match of the night. Oh, and I might be a little biased because, as you said, this is Bryan Danielson's return match since injury and what not. Because I mean, the strap match was really easy for him to be involved with Ricky Starks back in All Out because it didn't require too much wrestling, but this is like the first official wrestling match. My God, Danielson and Eddie Kingston slobber knockered each other out there. like,
Yeah, they did. Yeah,
and
I will give this match that. They most certainly did that.
oh my goodness. Again, I love Danielson. I love Eddie Kingston just as much too. And I knew, even though I knew the outcome was going to be the way it was with Danielson picking up the victory here, Eddie made me believe that he had a shot. There were a few times where I thought Eddie was going to get it. And honestly, I think Eddie losing back-to-back matches over the course of the last 2 weeks where he has not on the board yet. He has not
Nope.
earned any single
Nope.
points. And what I'm thinking is that I think they're if they do this right, you're gonna want to build Eddie up to be your underdog and then slowly start to win. And I think the final boss should be him and Danielson. And I still think that Eddie should be the winner of the Blue League here. I think of everybody in the Blue League, I can
Yeah.
make an argument for everyone. I would love to see Eddie be in the Blue League, be the winner, and to overcome Danielson because Danielson has said in multiple interviews he doesn't want to be put in the spotlight. Now, this tournament was partially his idea because he wants to do a G1 Classic without having to go to Japan to participate in it. So this is the next best thing. But man, these two put on an absolute classic. Like this was my match of the night. This was a good return for Danielson. But even so, Eddie continues to prove that we better not sleep on him because he's actually really good. But this was a
Yeah.
fantastic match.
Word that comes to mind about this match: chops. And you took the word right out of my mouth, slobber knocker. These two really went at it. Not a lot of high flyingness. So if you're not into like the super energetic lucha libre style, high flying matches, this match is not for you, because it was at times it almost felt like a street fight. It almost felt like a brawl, which I appreciated. I am afraid. I think I had voiced this in an earlier episode. I'm afraid with this Continental Classic that Bryan Danielson is going to come through and he's going to win it all, because it just kind of seems like the past few matches Danielson has had, he's won them all. And it doesn't, to me, feel like he can lose. You know, I hope that your prediction comes out, Mikey. I do. I hope that Eddie, because that's something else. I've the few matches that I've recently seen Eddie Kingston, which has been my first introduction to Eddie Kingston. I am now vested in him, right? And I do hope that what you said, the where he goes down, but then he comes back, and in the end, we have Danielson Kingston in the Blue League fighting for the Blue League Championship, and then Eddie Kingston wins. I hope that comes to fruition. I I have a feeling in my stomach that that's not gonna that's not gonna be the case, and that Bryan Danielson is gonna take it all. So, but we will see. We will see. And that, my friends, mi amigos, brings us to the end of the Collision review for this week, Saturday, December 2nd. Mikey, empanada scale. What'd you think?
So this was a very solid episode of Collision overall through and through. There was no match or backstage segment minus of my minor picks, like gripes with certain placements of certain things. I thought for me Collision continues to be a good breath of fresh air that it continues to
Yeah,
host some really solid matches and some consistent storytelling. This particular week for Collision, I'm going to give this a 4 out of 5 empanadas. I thought this was really, really solid. And honestly, if a show within can make me eat crow and make a public apology, I think is a testament to how much I believe in the talent and how much the people who are booking and writing the show believe in the talent because I was not expecting to turn so quickly because I've been talking how trash about how the House of Black has not been presented in the best light, and then in one single segment, it won me over. So, 4 out of 5, really good wrestling, really fun backstory stuff. We're continuing to have a good time. My only critique is that I know the Continental Classic is like the major thing, but I'm hoping that we start to build towards the other matches that are going to be on the card for World's End because World's End is in 4 weeks. So
Yeah.
I'm hoping we'll start to see more storylines and feuds start building up to that pay per view. But overall, 4 out of 5 for this week's Collision.
I agree. I'm giving it 4 out of 5 empanadas. It was a solid episode, good episode. This entire week of AEW wrestling has just been solid. I'm really happy about that, and I don't have any big critiques or anything. So you know, four 4 to 5 empanadas. There we go. So mis amigos, please join us next week when we review next week's Collision. I know that we already have some matches. Oh yeah, Ethan Page and Kenny Omega next coming up next week. But until we meet again, just remember that I am Biconic. You are Biconic. We are all Biconic. Thank you for joining us. Take care.